sorry about that, and I had to start with an apology. Apology, of course, I already done one, but actually there's more apology that I have to do. Okay, so first, welcome everyone. I'm so glad to see you all because usually I think that it's so early in the morning, who's going to come? But now see, wow, the room is nearly filled. So okay, so what are the other apologies that I have to say? Okay, so in 2008, actually, we have a proposal saying that we want to do an open source Hong Kong showcase. Okay, but unfortunately, well, one big reason is we are lazy. We were lazy, so it did not go ahead. Okay, so if you look. I will share this slide, and you can see that actually it's not on the web anymore. We have to use the archive.org to retrieve this information. And last year, actually, I personally again announced that we might want to do a free and open source web development event. I'm thinking we may be able to get someone to do talk about web OS, another person to talk about the Firefox OS, and then also if you know that the Jola people actually in Cyberport, I'm thinking we should grab them as well and make a conference, but it did not happen again. So yes, we have many delays, but I'm very glad to see you all that today we have the conference. Okay, and then we must say thank you to our sponsors. Okay, so as you can see, Rackspace, they're very generous and they become our gold sponsor, and also they sponsor our lunch and the networking event. So yes, we have free lunch here, and then also the networking event after the general session, and also you can see also over there the RS component. And then and they are a silver sponsor, and we are going to have a lucky draw, and then also that I hope that you have picked up a piece of information that there is a really special edition called the Blue Pi. Okay, so the Blue Pi is a special kind of Raspberry Pi, and then with a certificate signed by who's the guy's name? What? Morton? Upton. Okay, so the guy who started the Raspberry Pi project. Okay, so what you need to do is to, you've got the information, you go to that website and put down your comment saying that what do you want to do with that Blue Pi, and the person who gives the best idea will get the Blue Pi. And then we have the media partner that we have Linux pilot. Yeah, we are Rust. Actually, the Linux pilot is in all those boxes. I need to open them and distribute it to you actually. So they've been helping us to do promotion, and then and also these are the supporting organization. Someone taking the video, and we're very thankful for that. That's SORAC, and then Internet Society and eMedia. They all help us to promote, and also these are the organization that put this together. Okay, so yes, so what we have today is we have two keynote. One very soon, it's going to happen very soon. The other, there are 22 talks, and also lightning talks. So if you have something to share, please send me how to do the registration for lightning talk. Next slide. Okay. So and then everyone have this, right? Okay, good. So if you haven't got it, please go out and register. And also the lightning talk, there will be registration at 11:15. Okay, and then we have 15 slots for that. Okay, and the 5 lightning talks, they will be in a room like this, like everyone will come in, but the other 10, it will be in a separate room. Okay, and then, okay, so For lunch, okay, so we actually did not expect so many people, and so there is two choices for you for lunch, okay? So one, if you walk from MTR to here, you would have already probably seen something called the homey kitchen. So if it's in the hall, so when you went past the bridge, you turn left, right? And then you will see there's a car park. It's on top of the car park. That is the homey kitchen, and then that is where you have the standard Hong Kong, food and lunch. But but you can also choose to stay here. We have some muffins from the Pacific Coffee downstairs, and we can give you quite a number of them. We order 100 of them, so you can also get quite full if you take free or something like that. So there's two choices. You can either stay here, you will get the muffins and the drinks, or you go to homey kitchen where they will have assigned a place. With the badge, you can go in that assigned place and then you can order your food. Okay, and then afterwards, again, it will be in the homey kitchen. That after all talks, and then we will have a networking event, because after talk you might want to talk to the speakers and talk to different people. You can also go there and do networking. Okay, and again, we're very thankful it's sponsored by the Red Space. And then, yes, I think I already talked about that. The lucky draw, that is 10 Raspberry Pi that you can get, and also the Blue Pi, where it is a very special edition. And please go to the website. You can, if you have the schedule, the program, on one of the pages there's a link, there's a bit.ly link, or there's another page printed by the arts component where you can use your QR code to reach the site and put down your idea. We'll choose the person with the best idea to get this Blue Pi. Okay, so I think I've been talking too much. Yes, so this is the time for the keynote.
Okay, thank you, Haggen. So, in today's keynote, I will talk about the 15 years of open source movement in Hong Kong. And my name is Fung. And I am a software developer and also a staff owner and also a system engineer to deploy some Linux and some networking solutions. And I also like basketball, football, and more music. And in this keynote, I will talk about the start of communities and how we go into the business world, and also how the people in Hong Kong start to contribute to the open source communities, and how the local community to expose to Asia and global, and also I will talk about the development of local communities in Hong Kong. 15 years ago, I started to use Linux, and then from the Linux, I know what is open source software, and then start to use other open source software as well as OpenOffice, Firefox in my personal usage, and also at my work. And then I start to attend some events and participate in the communities. And to participate in the open source communities, who should participate in the communities? Actually, all of you can participate in the communities. Given you are newbies, or you are just a normal user, or you are developers or promoters. So how can you to participate in the communities? And at least you can learn from others people to learn some new open source skills, and then you can share your own experience to others. And also you can contribute to the community, so as you can translate some documents, you can write some programs, or you can design some user interface for some open source software as well. So share, learn, and contribute is the key component in participating in the open source community. So starting from 1997, yes, and Hong Kong is handed over to China, but Hong Kong passport and also BNO common passport in Hong Kong, and some of us may be holding other passport issued from UK or other countries. And what it means is that we understand both Western and Chinese culture, and we still have freedom of speech. Okay. So in 1997, we founded Hong Kong Linguist User Group in Hong Kong, and we begin in the Hong Kong Star Forward News Group, which is one of our popular news group provider, Hong Kong Star, and then we call for Hong Kong reformations on Star Forward News Group, and then we founded the first committee, and then after 1 year, we start to run our own Hong Kong News Group server. And also, we have we sell RC channel on Freeload RC server, which is Haggen, and we wrote for first Hong Kong committee on that IRC channel. And after that, we use Hong Kong HKOSC2013-M4001-Hong as our first website. But unfortunately, it is lost because we forgot to renew it, and then it taken by others. Yeah, and then we registered another two domain, which limits.org.hk, and then a second level domain launched in Hong Kong. We also registered limits.hk as well. So this two is our current website for the Hong Kong Linguist User Group. And besides some online exposure for the Linux community, we also have some offline event as well. And we organize many, I think maybe over 100 Linux talk from 1997, and we have some bigger Linux seminar as well, and we have some small group of Linux workshop with around 20 people may attend the Linux workshop. And then we have some casual events such as Linux Cafe, some Linux meetups, just sit down and open our computer and then talk with others and discuss some Linux problems and some Linux idea or open source ideas. And also we went to some local school to provide some Linux training, some Linux talk to the secondary school students, and also maybe sometimes in the university as well. And then after we organized some Linux event in Hong Kong in year 2000, we started to do some Linux promotion and open source promotion in some business exhibitions. And also we have some international VIP guests visits Hong Kong as well. This is father of Samba. Yeah. The Leung boy is Samba. Who use Samba here? Oh, okay. Yeah. Samba is one of is the most popular Linux and Windows file and pin sharing available on the open source world. Yeah. In 2004, another organization called OCA is founded. which is project-based organizations. So one of the most popular project is that Chinese free fonts. They organize some fonts making workshops for some open source contributor, and then teach them how to make Chinese characters with some software. And then in this project, they build about 5,000 Hong Kong Chinese characters, so that we can see some Hong Kong characters on Linux desktops. Yeah, and also they organized first Firefox launch party in Hong Kong. So you can see that after the party, they also burn some Firefox CD and distribute outside the one of Hong Kong Computer Center. And yes, and they are project-based organizations. I just think that they create some Chinese free fonts, and they also provide some training to secondary school, which are always fun and always leader, and also they provide open office talk to the government as well. And after 4 years in 2008, Open Source Hong Kong is founded because HKOSC is no longer active from 2008. Yeah. Open Source Hong Kong organized Firefox 3 and 4 party in Hong Kong, and it started from a web portal and then organized a monthly open source event in Hong Kong. And Open Source Hong Kong is one of key members to support to reform Hong Kong Linux User Group as well, because Hong Kong Linux User Group is no longer active between 2004 and I think 2011. Yeah. So we take over. Some of our friends in local open source community take over the Hong Kong Linux User Group in 2011, and Haggen is the current chairman of this community of Hong Kong Linux User Group, and Leung is not here. Leung is a vice chairman of Hong Kong Linux User Group, and I am I am founding chairman of Hong Kong Linux User Group in 1997. And what did Hong Kong Linux User Group do in these 3 years? They organized some event to share some usage of or development on the Raspberry Pi, and they have bi-weekly casual meetup, which is Haggen Thursday. And then last year, this year I forgot. We organized one open source and Linux seminar at the International IT Fest, which coordinated by Hong Kong government. And some members in Hong Kong Linux User Group developed i+20 and Stock 5 Chinese platform, and local secondary school teacher to share his experience how to teach students to use open source 3D printer, which we read he will have taught today in this morning in the afternoon. And yeah. And then in the localizations for Hong Kong Chinese, HKOSC have built the Chinese free fonts for the Chinese display, and also we have some local developer to develop free Chinese inputs which is searchable for Hong Kong Chinese in last 10 years with Hong Kong Cantonese, Stock Fly, and also Chanji on the iBus Internet. So I talked about mainly about local events, and then in these I think 3 years we start to going to Asia and global as well. This is the largest open source conference in Taiwan. Is over 1,500 participants to attend this conference last year. Yeah. So I think 10 of us research conference this year. Yeah. And also we organized Geelong Asia Summit last year in Hong Kong, which is first international open source conference hosted in Hong Kong. So this is our overseas speaker from worldwide and Haggen take them to the Victoria Harbour. Yeah. So we also participate in some other Asia and global communities, such as One Laptop Per Child, Asia Pacific divisions. So they have their headquarters is hosted in Hong Kong, and some of our volunteers to join the deployment in different countries in Asia. And they have casual event in Malaysia in November. Yeah, which base camp. And Haggen and I also joined the Geelong Asia Committee after we host the summit last year in Hong Kong, and we helped them to organize a summit this year in Korea. And personally, I also joined the Mozilla communities. Yeah. And also, some Hong Kong open source developers also attend some overseas conferences, Drupal, JavaScript, Ruby, Python, and open source developer conference in Taiwan. And some of those conferences may be in Asia or in United States or Europe. So how is the local user group? So I introduced the Hong Kong user group, OPCA, and also open source project with key members in the local open source community. And also in this I think 4 years, we see some small open source related user groups founded in Hong Kong, such as Hong Kong Drupal user group, lot of JavaScripters, Python user group, and the Leung is R user group, and also some distributions have their local team or local communities such as Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, or Open Data. So I am participating in Hong Kong Lab, Open Source Hong Kong, OPCA, and also Mozilla Hong Kong. Although we host international event in Hong Kong in last year, but we host to bring annual international event to Hong Kong. So finally, we start to organize Hong Kong open source conference this year. So this is our first international open source conference in Hong Kong, and we have some overseas speakers coming from Taiwan and also Japan. And so, what is the future of the open source movement in Hong Kong? I foresee that we should increase demonstration of open source project in Hong Kong to the public, and also we host we will have some number of increase on number of open source developers and projects started from based in Hong Kong. And we host our local user group and the community will go to global. Maybe I host that we will have maybe a Python conference in Hong Kong or other conference in Hong Kong as well. And Haggen would also would like to share some of his ideas as well. I think, okay, I'll make this quick, and I think I have one thing that I have to tell you all later on. Okay, so yes, Sammy already gave an outline of what happens in the years before, and actually I would like to tell you that while we are already very busy about this conference, we already planned the next one. So the planning is that we will sort of do it about the same time or after the World Internet Developer Summit, so organized by HKOSC. I think you got all the lanyard by HKOSC, and then that will be something like April. So we are trying to do this at least every year, and so to promote free and open source. Okay, and then in order to promote it further and also hopefully see if we can get any government funding, we are looking at starting a non-profit organization, not just on open source, not just on free software, but we want to promote open standard, free and open source software, open hardware, and also free cultural works like Creative Commons, and you can see open data people here, and so and covering all this area, and we hope to serve the community because we actually find a number of groups in these different areas, and we would like to see how we can work together. Okay, and okay, so I think the most important IT news this year is about this man, and also diplomatic matters. I think this is very important. Of course, we also have the Philippine problem, but this is also very important. And the very interesting thing is, after he left, I think not too many people mentioned about him anymore. And I have to say this is a difficult situation, because when he was around, a lot of people who did not know IT very much would say, oh, is it very dangerous? Is our server, very dangerous? Is our information very dangerous? Of course, usually our response will be, don't be so nervous and things like that. But as IT professional, this is a very serious problem. Okay? And then I think, yes, in Hong Kong, actually it's a bit difficult to promote free and open source. When people say that, oh, does it mean there's no money to be gained? Will people really work for free? Are those, open source people, are they, just hobbyists or things like that? But I think in the light of slogan that free software is even more important. Okay, so why is that so? Let me explain. Okay, so what happens? So back to a little bit of history, that at the very beginning of the computing industry, we have things like this that look like washing machines, and so they're very big. And then you get some really big company like IBM or DEC or something like that to sell you the whole service. So you got the hardware, you got the maintenance, and you got the software. It's all from one vendor, and the story was the software or the source code, it doesn't matter. They won't charge you for the source code, and the normal thing is if a university got this machine, they write some software, they share it with the company, and the company improve it and share it with the university or their users. So at that time, all the code
are freely exchanged. Okay, but of course later on the computer becomes smaller and smaller, and then we have the personal computer. I think I can see some of you are, sort of as old as I am. So probably you start the journey of your computer, interest in computer from this. Okay, so this is Apple II compatible, and then because now it's so cheap, you don't need one vendor. So you have some vendor for the hardware, some vendor for the software, some vendor for the surface. And so what happens is, if a vendor is only doing software or software as main business, they will close the source. They won't share the source code. Okay, so but the problem is then the power of changing the source code or understanding what's happening in the program is now transferred to those companies. Okay, so what happens is Richard Stallman finds that it's not a good case, that he wants the power back. So he proposed free software. So he said that if this is free software, it allows everyone to run it. It allows everyone to examine the source code where the logics of the software is inside, and you can also change it. Okay, so this is for the person. And then the next step, of course, is about the community. So as a person, you can use it, you can change the source code, but now Freedom 2 and Freedom 3 is about that you can share it with other people, and then other people can use the software, and then the changes made by one person, it can be shared to the community. Okay, so of course today we call it the open source conference. The open source, of course, open source is a more common name because in English, free, there is, some people think that originally it means freedom. I talk about freedom a lot, but some people say that, it means software that doesn't charge money. It must be not professional. It may not have good quality, right? So another person, Eric Raymond, start another way to market this idea to say that if you develop in an open source way, if you share the source code, it really helps a lot. And so it's the best way to develop software. And also there are business models, though the source code itself is free, okay? But there are different ways that you can make money. So nowadays actually this open source term took over, but basically the basics is the same. And I think why I mentioned this, because I think it's very important for us to promote at this time to mention again, slogan, tell other people, yes, well, maybe it's not that convenient that to tell people actually the IT is not that secure, but we should tell people actually you can gradually take back or have more control over what software you use. And then, and unfortunately, after Snowden, look at the news, and even as United States citizens, they are not gaining much right back. Not to mention us, for us, the US does, the US government doesn't really care, I think. And so, if we can take back the power of controlling the software, then we have a better chance to fight against this. Okay? And for example, there's something called OpenBSD. Though, I'm the president of Linux user group, but I have to promote this because they've been trying to be a very, very secure OS from something like '96. I think they broke out from the FreeBSD, and then I think from '96 to now there are only two when they release their software, they only have 2 hosts, okay, for that many years. So if you really want something very secure, install this, okay? And also there are other open source software that actually are now industrial standard, and they are helping people to make their system more and more secure. And so I think Snowden actually present us with a very good opportunity to tell people that being open, okay, is a good defense. I think I missed that point. So what happens if you read the news? There are people coming out from Microsoft saying, oh, there are people visiting us from the NSA telling us to put this in and put that in, but we say no, okay? But there are people saying that, but when you think about, actually that means the NSA actively engage in closed door negotiation with big software company often, okay? So the people who say yes will never come out and say they already say yes, okay? And I'm not saying they're bad, okay? If you're in a big company, the government can make policy to make the company lose money, okay? But as open source, it means that you can, those open source developers can tell the government, say that, oh, it's not just developed by US citizens. The software have to put outside there and to be accepted. People will ask questions. If I say yes and put this hole in, people will find out. So that there is a very natural and valid defense to say no to all the different government officials. So, and that's why I think this is a very good selling point to people when you talk about slogan. Okay, so yes, and so I can see there's a lot of opportunity ahead, but it means also a lot of work. Okay, and so when we talk about. Okay. Oh, so yeah. So when I will also talk about his experience in the community. Okay.
Yeah, and then what is the experience on the community is about? Yeah, most likely I'm now working on Chinese input methods.
Okay. I think I better introduce you.
Yeah.
You are.
Okay. Yeah, I'm.
Wong, right?
Wong. Yeah.
So this person?
Yeah, this person. I'm the current vice chairman. Yeah, of the Hong Kong Initiative Group. And then now, yeah, one of my open source project now is working on the Chinese input method that's suitable for the Hong Kong people to use it. Yeah, because you guys know that we use traditional Chinese, and then the problem is that in Taiwan and Hong Kong we are using different input methods. So that there's a problem on the open source community that there's not so many Hong Kong people who want to do some contribution on the open source world, and so that the Chinese input method is very hard to use on the Linux environment, and it is a bit difficult for us to do some promotion on it. And then so that I start with a French person called Matthew, and then we do the IBIS project to rewrite the transfer method again. That's a fit to Hong Kong people to use it. That's my experience in the current Linux group. And then what was that's it. Yeah. Yeah, and then
why do you join the community?
why I joined the community of Hong Kong because it's fun.
Fun.
Yeah, and then I believe that only open source, and then open information is the future of our work, because yeah, we can see that knowledge that we can see all over the world that there is a pattern, and they have copyright, and they have any other things that stop us to learn some new information. That you know that if there's some textbooks, then maybe do some education, then I have to pay it for the copy, and then it is a stop us to spitting out some very useful information that's for our next generation, and that will stop our the human society to be the evolution of it. Yeah, because what is the difference of the human? Because we can learn, and then we can learn some other things, and then to do some innovation on such kind of basic technology, and then so that that's why I think that open source is the only future of human of the mankind, because Yeah, because I think that knowledge should be free for everyone. Yeah, this is my view.
Because I was chairman of Haggen Music School in 1997, and actually I meet Leung for over 10 years.
Yeah.
But he was just a normal user, just a normal general member in Haggen Music School. So in these 10 years, why will you continue to participate in our community? Why you will come out to give some course to us and do some contribution? Because why this question? Because some people who use open source at their home or at their work, but they left it so often. Yeah. So why
I finally do some contribution? Okay, that's I know what is the question now. Yeah, but actually, yeah, from 1997 and then until I come back to Hong Kong, yeah, actually, at that time I'm very active on the forum, but it's not the Hong Kong forum. I'm very active on the Taiwan forum, and then I do some FAQ and then do some answering some questions for those people asking how to use Linux. Actually, I'm very active on that kind of area. Yeah, but after 2008, actually I have some free time and I have some chance to know some relation that asked me to have the OLPC and then yeah, I want to do more so that I join the Hong Kong NUG and then to separate the idea. Yeah, because I think that the future is all about the knowledge, open technology, and then for the students should know these kind of things. Otherwise, that we will very far behind from the other world, so that from the other country and the other places. So that if we want to keep Hong Kong as a very special city or something, that we have to do some contribution. That's why I think I have to do something to separate these ideas to Hong Kong. What is the world? What is the other places happening? Yeah, and then to think about what is our situation or what we are acting in this kind of activism.
Okay. So in our community, we organize a monthly open source meetup. Also in the city university is one or less than 40 participants, and we see over 100 people here today. And then we would like to know how many of you come from Hong Kong. May you raise your hand if you come from Hong Kong? Yeah. Okay. Yes, a lot. Yes. Yes. Well, yes, already double of our capacity of our monthly events. And how many of you are coming from overseas? Yeah. May you raise your hand? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your coming to Hong Kong. Yeah. Okay. So, Haggen, do you have some conclusions?
Not much. I think we are about done to have a break.
Okay.
So I think it's the food out there, is it? That side, I think.
Okay.
There's some drinks and.
In these three rooms, we will have some drink at the behind of the room, and also some snack as well. Yeah.
And so we
So you may enjoy.
and this one, can we write with this? No. And then one thing that I've forgotten to mention is actually the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is actually available, but I've forgotten to write down. So I write down in the free rooms. Most of the free
And then
rooms.
for the Wi-Fi, that's all information.
Does that work?
Yeah, it does work. And then no password. So
We did not plan it. The reason why we got this room is quite far, but because it coincides with but on the other hand, we did not plan the shuttle bus, and I'm sure that some of you take advantage of the shuttle bus with us.
Yeah, so that if you want Wi-Fi, okay, the SSID is information day, and then there's no password. Yeah, this you can feel or use it because today is the information day of the city.
Information day. So,
Information day.
Okay, so thank you. So, thank you. So we hope all of you will enjoy this conference today.